What is up, everybody? Thank you for stopping by to talk a trio of Breece Hall Dynasty trades. If you want to go ahead and skip to the first of the three deals, by all means, go for it. Before I get there, I'll let you know my name is Chu. You can check me out here on YouTube and, of course, on Twitter as well at Father Dynasty. And looking at Breece Hall having finishing up a tremendous sophomore season, 17.1 fantasy points per game, compares pretty closely to Raheem Mostert at 17.8 points per game. Breece Hall, again, great on the ground, through the air, leading all running backs in targets and receptions. Targets, I believe he was at 95 to end the season, and receptions, of course, leading the NFL. He was narrowly ahead of Alvin Kamara, who was getting some tremendous usage. But not just volume, he's tied for second most 20-plus yard runs, so again, getting those explosive runs and doing that behind a Swiss cheese offensive line, I think is the nice way to put it. Throughout the season, outside of Aaron Rodgers getting hurt, 5 plays in, it was also he gets hurt, then you have just a revolving door and a weird patchwork way of fixing the quarterback position with Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian. You got Boyle in there, I believe. So really not making much sense as to what was going on there. Again, what was the best option to that point? Well, now we know it's Joe Flacco. They should have kept him. But, realistically, it's not Aaron Rodgers, so I understand it's not going to be as good as you want it to. But between that and injuries to the offensive line, Breece Hall coming off of a ACL tear last season, he's had a great year. And I think it's a huge building block for the Jets, obviously. But could be for many dynasty rosters as well going forward. Keep trade cut. We've got him ranked as the RB4, that is behind Jahmyr Gibbs and ahead of Jonathan Taylor. I actually have him as the RB2, one behind Christian McCaffrey, who I see him similar to a Travis Kelce, but for the running back position. Again, I know there's much more fragility, and the age cliff is much sooner in the running back position, but seeing CMC in that offense and being so efficient, so productive, yeah, he's RB1 for me. But RB2, yeah, Breece Hall, again, what he's been able to do, they often talk about if there's an ACL tear, something like that, especially for a running back, their next season coming back from it, expect maybe a bit of a slower start. It's kind of a season to kind of get back into the swing of things. And it doesn't mean it's a lost season, but you certainly don't expect him to do as well as he did. And again, that's also including losing your star quarterback, losing a lot of offensive weapons on the line. And again, Breece Hall, heck of a sophomore season. So jumping into the first of the three trades, we've got a 10-team start 9 half-point PPR, no tight end premium. So this one's interesting. Breece Hall, Jonathan Mingo, 2025 second, all of that, for Drake London and 2024 first. Now, this trade was done, and all of these trades were done before the firing of Arthur Smith happened. So I have to believe that simply by the firing of Arthur Smith, any Falcons offensive weapon, the Drake London, Bijan Robinson, if anything, actually Tyler Algier might get hurt because in his dynasty value, just because another coach maybe wouldn't use him as much. But even considering that, which this did not because it happened before, I'm taking the Breece Hall side. If I look at that, I don't see much value in Jonathan Mingo. I don't think that was a wise pick by the Panthers. Obviously, you see all of my stuff behind me. I'm a Panthers fan. Pick really didn't make any sense to me at all. Again, I do like you also still including that 2025 second in there, but that helps. But again, if I'm really just looking at the meat potatoes of it and seeing it as it's basically Breece Hall and the future second for Drake London and the 2024 first, barring that 2024 first being, the 101, the 102, maybe 103. You're still getting a second on the Breece Hall side. So wipe out Jonathan Mingo, maybe be able to flip him in the offseason based on some good camp news, even though I don't know if that's actually going to come to fruition. But yeah, Breece Hall side, Drake London, I think he will do better under a new coaching regime and maybe a better system, better quarterback and all that. But the better quarterback isn't there yet, and the better coach is not hired yet. So I trust Breece Hall, and he's able to overcome adversity, which was his sophomore season. Jumping over to deal number 2, 12 teams start 10, half-point PPR, no tight end premium. This one's a little bit bigger here. So we've got DeAndre Swift, CeeDee Lamb, and a 2026 first for Breece Hall, Cortland Sutton, Rashee Rice, 2024 first, and a 2024 third. So this one's a little bit meatier, and this isn't really too tough for me. There is some uncertainty about DeAndre Swift and what's going to happen with him after this season. I believe he is a free agent because when the Eagles traded for him prior to the 2023 season, I believe he was entering the final year of his rookie deal. So I have to double check on that, but I believe he's going to be a free agent. Eagles very well could do the same thing where they're not going to pay Swift, just like they didn't want to pay Miles Sanders. Good call on that one. But they could tag him if they wanted to. I mean, Swift is a good fit in that offense. But to get CeeDee Lamb and to get, again, it's 2026, but to get a first down the road, I mean, think of the value you're getting right now. CeeDee Lamb, I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb over Cortland Sutton and Rashee Rice and the first. I mean, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. The third on the Breece Hall side, it is what it is. DeAndre Swift, you're hoping he goes back to Philly, even if he goes somewhere else. Will he be as well utilized? Maybe, maybe not. But he's not washed. He's not done. Breece Hall, obviously the best running back overall. I think if you're looking at the best pieces in here, I put it as CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, the 24 first. Rashee Rice, he's someone who, I know how well he did this season. I do think, obviously, he still stays involved next year. Of all of the players, the wide receivers we've seen entering that team ever since Tyreek Hill left, the Sky Moores, all that. I do think Rashee Rice has some promise, but I think if he's your main guy and your only weapon, I don't know how that's going to be going forward. I think they do need to bring more in there, which will obviously take away from him. I know he's a yak monster. I know he does great with that, but it's not going to be just the Rashee Rice show next year, not from my perspective on it. So, yeah, I'm sticking with the DeAndre Swift, CeeDee Lamb, and 2026 first side. So jumping over to the final deal. Deal number 3, 10 teams start 9, full-point PPR, and no tight end premium. So this one's interesting. So Breece Hall and Jackson Smith-Njigba for James Cook, Marquise Hollywood Brown, DJ Moore, and a 2024 second. I could definitely understand why a rebuilder, I would say, would want the James Cook side or at least be intrigued by it. But when I'm looking at this, I mean, it's 10 team and start 9, so pretty shallow. I'm finding a hard time not picking the Breece Hall side. And the main piece of that is because Breece Hall over James Cook, obviously. And for Dynasty's sake, I'd rather have JSN over Marquise Brown and DJ Moore. And a little bit of that is I trust DJ Moore and what it's going to be like for him going forward because they either keep Justin Fields. They've had a pretty good rapport when Justin Fields is healthy. Or it's the Bears getting Caleb Williams. And I think Caleb Williams I would imagine he would connect pretty quickly to DJ Moore because DJ Moore's a great weapon. Marquise Brown, he's okay. I know health has been a big issue for him over his career, but he's been, at a minimum, reasonably productive thus far. And the second is nice, but with how everything went for Jackson Smith-Njigba, again, he was still playing a bit of third fiddle, which I think everyone kind of expected behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett, the ageless wonder. But I really trust the resale value in Dynasty of Jackson Smith-Njigba. Again, I don't think he really did anything in his rookie season to dissuade people from believing what his value kind of will become, which is fantastic. It's not a Quentin Johnston situation where everyone around him gets injured and he theoretically should get the chance, but he's, being outproduced by the likes of Jalen Guyton. No Jalen Guyton slander. I'm a fan of his too, but the point remains, you spend a first-round pick on Quentin Johnston, he should produce something better than what he has. But yeah, so I'm taking the Breece Hall, Jackson Smith and Jigba, getting immediate production from Breece Hall, obviously, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. We'll see. I mean, he could be stepping up here in his sophomore season, at least more so than what he did in his rookie year, and that'd be great. So, but yeah, so thank you for stopping by, talking these 3 trades involving Breece Hall. If you want to go ahead and let me know in the comments what you think about these trades. Do you agree? Do you disagree with what I was saying? Also, if you maybe have done a recent trade, dynasty trade with Breece Hall, whether you completed one or maybe you're considering one, you have one in the inbox, want to just be able to kind of talk it out, be more than happy and love talking dynasty trades nonstop. So please go ahead and drop it in the comments. But until then, happy Dynasty.